What's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. Dr. Nathan Thompson here, author of Transformation 28, creator of the T28 Challenge. And today I want to talk to you. I'll be talking to men specifically, but I know that probably more women will be listening than men. So today we're going to talk about this whole idea behind having quote unquote low T or low testosterone. So if you actually see the picture, most men that actually talk to me about this, there's two things that happen. Number one, if they don't know me very well, they tend to want to come through the back door wearing a Groucho Marx costume, because this is a really sensitive subject with men about the idea of having low testosterone. Or, there's some men, like, once they feel comfortable with me, they'll tell me about it, but sometimes I have to get to know them for a while. This is what's really interesting, is that when it comes to the idea behind having low testosterone, a majority of the time, it's not the man that's talking to me about it, though. It's his spouse. And in fact, I've actually, in the last 24 hours, I've talked about low testosterone with 3 people. And 2 of them were women about their man. And, the conversation that I had last night went like this. Dr. Nate, you really need to help my husband. He has no sex drive. He doesn't sleep well. He snores, isn't really motivated about anything. And in fact, he's kind of just like a blob. Lacks passion, lacks, anything. And all of these are actually symptoms of having low testosterone. I mean, testosterone is what makes men. And so I want to go over with you today, like, what you do if you think you have low testosterone, what you can do to start to correct the problem on your own. So, that testosterone is a really big issue today, because listen to like AM radio, which is what most men actually listen to, the ESPN, the sports channels, and you're going to see about all of these new quote unquote techniques to raise testosterone. I've also had a couple of people email, they're like, should I take a testosterone boosting supplement? Here's the thing. There's no such thing as a testosterone boosting supplement. There is none. Some of those things artificially block or raise some of the hormones that are affected upstream, but there is nothing that directly raises your testosterone. So what is this whole thing about, low T? And does it have anything to do with age? And actually it doesn't. The thing that's not how the older you get, because you're actually designed to have high testosterone and be able to reproduce and to have sex, for men, into your 80s and 90s. And that's just normal. That's how we're created. But we've fallen into this whole idea that we're supposed to not have any kind of sex drive and get fat and, by our 40s. And that's what we're led to believe. So if we think that we can't do it on our own or do it naturally, we're led to believe that we need to do something artificial, and have an artificially high testosterone. So let's go over this about low T. All right. So low T, let's talk about the symptoms of having low T. All right. And guys, I want you guys to make sure that please like this, please share this, please comment too, because this is a really big issue. This affects men a ton, and it affects relationships with your spouse. So symptoms of having low testosterone. You may have erectile dysfunction. So the lower your testosterone, the problem you have having an erection. Now, there are some other reasons why you may have erectile dysfunction. Some of them may actually be due to injury, trauma. Also going to be due to a lack of blood and neurological supply, which also relates back to your spine and nerve system, specifically in the lower part of the back. Having a low sperm count, having poor sleep. How about this? Sleep apnea. So sleep apnea is actually related to low testosterone. Having a low sex drive, having reduced muscle mass, decreased energy, increased body fat, irritability, and depression. So all of this, guys, are symptoms of having low T or low testosterone. Actually, what's interesting is that what actually becomes the norm now, and I actually read this 3 to 4 years ago, was that the new norm was actually what they called the dad bod. And if you look at the dad bod actually has increased body fat, reduced muscle mass, actually has a lot of weight gain into the abdominal, the butt, the thighs, but also the dad bod is renowned for having breast tissue. And all of these are actually symptoms of having low testosterone and having increased estrogens inside of the body. So, hey, do you have those symptoms? And if you do, or ladies, if your man has these symptoms, I want you to continue to listen, please. Let's talk about it. I don't want to bore you with the hormone pathway, but I want you to understand this. There's a couple of things you really have to pay attention to. And when you talk about male hormones, which are actually a little bit easier to understand and to learn than female hormones. Ladies, your hormones are a lot harder. But when you talk about any kind of hormones, you like the hormone system in the body communicates in two ways. It communicates via the central nerve system, the peripheral nerve system. And in fact, in order for you to even release some of your initial hormones, you actually need a nerve supply. So the body communicates neurologically. It also communicates hormonally through the vascular supply. So when you look at just the production of testosterone or estrogen or progesterone or what stress hormones, whatever those are, is that it just doesn't produce it. There's all of these different steps that need to take place and different positive and negative feedback loops that have to take place. So it actually is it's not a simple process. It's a very intricate process. But I want to give this analogy, and what you see here is you see one of these cascade fountains, the kind that you put in your garden or you put in the front of your house. And, the thing is, when you look at where testosterone would be produced, it would actually be produced about right here, like at the fourth fountain, okay? I'm going to go over what that next fountain is down here. But, we think, well, if I have low T, then all I need to do is I just need to increase this fountain right here. Well, the thing is you don't necessarily have to increase this fountain by dumping testosterone into it. What you need to do is you actually need to analyze what's happening upstream with all of these other hormones that are produced and need to be converted until it actually goes into testosterone. So where we really go wrong is we just think that we need some kind of testosterone replacement, or even worse, some kind of estrogen or progesterone replacement. And guys, this is very dangerous to do, because if you start filling up one of these, you're going to have a spillover that's going to go somewhere else. So you can't just affect one without it actually affecting everything else. So this is why it's so important that you're not just dumping testosterone into your system. It's very dangerous. So I want you to go over just a couple of key points, and I'm going to give you this screen, and you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, oh my goodness. And this is actually even a kind of a simplified screen. I'm going to bring this up, show this by itself. Okay. So, these are just like, for example, like for men, these like just how just your sex hormones are made inside of your body. And you can see all of these different, cholesterol, progesterone, DHEA, androstenedione, testosterone, estradiol, corticosteroid. So you look at all of these, and these are some stress hormones, and these are some, then even you could even take a step before that and go up into the brain, into the pituitary gland, because that's also where some of your sex hormones, the stimulus for the sex hormone creation, like in the testes for men, where it's actually happening. So, but I want you to pay really attention to a couple of things. Okay. So here you have all of these processes that take place, and you got testosterone that's right over here. Here's what's really interesting, and I'm going to show you the first one. Okay. So the first one that I'm going to show you is this circle up here. And guys, what is this called? This is actually called cholesterol. Guys, in order for you to be able to create any kind of sex hormone, you absolutely need cholesterol. Cholesterol is the foundation to create testosterone. Here is a big problem that a lot of people are running into, particularly men, is they go to their doctor, they're diagnosed with high cholesterol, and we could have a whole nother Facebook Live on debating what is exactly high cholesterol and what it means. But just know this, is that you absolutely need cholesterol, which is produced in the liver, in order to synthesize testosterone. So men, what happens when your doctor puts you on a cholesterol lowering drug? Well, it will decrease testosterone production. And here's what happens. Decreased testosterone production, lower muscle mass, lower energy, more fat, and you'll also have the inability to have an erection. But have no fear, because now we have Viagra. So being on a cholesterol lowering drug can cause impotence, but don't worry, there's another drug that we can give you in order to fix your impotence. So you see how crazy it actually gets. So cholesterol is not an enemy. Cholesterol is a helper in order to help you synthesize normal hormones. Now, if you have high cholesterol, you need to figure out why your cholesterol is high and why your body is actually manufacturing more cholesterol. Obviously, there's a need for it somewhere in your body to help it to heal and be able to repair. So the idea is not to artificially lower cholesterol, block it at the liver, and think that you're 100% okay. You have to figure out why your cholesterol is going up. And one of the reasons why is because of inflammation taking place inside of the body. So cholesterol is the first thing. But the next thing I want to actually show you is this area down here. You see, when you actually make testosterone, testosterone can be down converted into some of your estrogens. Now, I say estrogens because you have more than, you just don't have estrogen, you have different forms of estrogen. So you have estradiol and then estrone. So this area right here is you have something that are called, like when this testosterone is actually estradiol comes from testosterone, is you have these aromatase. Aromatase are actually enzymes that convert testosterone into your estrogens, okay? Now, a lot of times when it comes to like breast cancer and things like that, that's like an estrogen-sensitive breast cancer, doctors will give you these aromatase inhibitors in order to block the production of estrogen. Now, I would actually rather get to the reason why your hormones aren't balanced versus just giving another drug for it. But guys, if you are constantly consuming things that increase aromatase activity to cause free testosterone to be converted into estrogen, then what happens is you have low testosterone, but you're going to have a high amount of estrogen. This is why people who artificially take testosterone, why it increases their estrogen and they start getting symptoms of high estrogen. So they start getting gynecomastia or breast formation. But guys, you see a lot of men who have breast formation now. The thing why I'm pointing this out is because you actually want to do the things that are limiting the production of estradiol and estrone inside of the body. And so you have to limit this process. So here's what's interesting, because the ability to actually block this in men is 100% up to you, okay? Now, let's talk about how you can block this process. So in order to get your testosterone higher and to start getting it to go back to normal on your own is really all about addressing stress and inflammation. That's all it's about. So you have to actually say that anytime that you're sick, it is all about, where am I producing stress and inflammation inside of my body? Because here's the thing, the body absolutely wants to reproduce and to have normal testosterone. It was built that way genetically. So what do you have to do? So men and ladies, you have to start addressing the mental, the physical, and the chemical sources of stress. Will mental stress lower testosterone? Yes. Will physical stress lower testosterone? By physical stress, I mean actual physical stress and inflammation that takes place in the spine and the nerve system. Reason why? Listen, in order for a man to have an erection, you need a vascular and nerve supply into that area, and you also need hormones to be able to go into that area. But also, you have to address the chemical. So what are you doing chemically that can actually be causing an increased stress and actually causing inflammation inside of the body? So let's talk about some of just the chemical stress. So some of this chemical stress actually will directly lead to estrogen production inside of your body. It will block free testosterone. The first one is sugars and grains. Guys, This is not about calories in and calories out. And whoever keeps teaching that is ridiculous, because yes, you do need a certain number of calories, but you also need quality calories with it too. And so how you're attaining those calories makes all the difference. Nothing that you eat is just a calorie. The last time I checked, there is no calorie receptor inside of the body. However, there are hormone receptors inside of the body, and what you eat affects your hormones. The first and biggest one that will increase this testosterone into estrogen are sugars and grains. So if you want to eat a lot of sugars, you want to eat a lot of bread and pasta and white rice, you want to eat all of those sugars and grains, this will actually cause an decreased testosterone, increased estrogen. Not to mention that it also leads to more inflammation, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, things like that. Now, if you look at, because people also ask me about prostate cancer. And guys, prostate cancer is not a testosterone issue as much as it's actually a estrogen issue. Imagine that. And this is why a lot of men who have type 2 diabetes and also who have prostate issues too, because both of those are actually decreasing testosterone, increasing estrogen, and causing inflammation. Another thing that will cause more estrogen production is alcohol. So listen, if you're drinking a 12-pack every single night, then it is no wonder you don't have any testosterone and you feel lousy, miserable with belly fat and have no muscle mass. But the other thing that's interesting too, and this is actually one of these things that's like just keeps making it worse, more body fat you have, the more that you're going to have low testosterone. So more body fat, lower testosterone. So some of these estrogens are actually stored, and also body fat cells or fat cells can actually produce more estrogen. So just from a chemical standpoint, you got to start limiting your sugars and grains. You're avoiding alcohol as much as possible. You're also working on decreasing your body fat. Listen, this is actually one of the things that we teach in the T28 challenge. But taking it a step further, there's a lot of other things that you actually should be doing, because we always say, hey, you don't guess, you test. Let me give you an example of what are called aromatase inhibiting foods. These are foods that actually decrease the conversion of testosterone into estrogens. And you look at this, you got broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, raw nuts and seeds, avocados, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, olives, organic poultry, wild caught salmon, wild game, grass-fed beef, garlic and onion, chives, scallions, leeks. So all of these are great aromatase inhibiting foods that inhibit the production of testosterone into estrogens. Let me give you a word of caution. So I did a food allergy test on myself, and according to what produces inflammation inside of my body, I can't have coconut oil. I can't have some forms of raw nuts and seeds, but everything else I'm actually good. So if I took this advice right here at face value, I could actually be doing something that could make me more sick. But notice when you look at this, what you actually see is you see no hint of things like bread and pasta and fruity pebbles and cornflakes doing anything to boost your testosterone production. These are all actually healthy foods in their original way they were intended to be eaten. Make sense? So what do you do? Here's where you start. Because I know I've had a couple of women ask me. I had a guy today actually ask me too. He's like, I don't have anything. And I'm like, and he said, this is not fair to my wife, and it's not fair to my kids either. So where do you start? Where do you start, men, with this? Number one, first place you start is you get an x-ray. So what you do is you get an x-ray, number one, of the spine and the nerve system to see how the neurological system is working inside of the body. But you also do an x-ray diagnostically. You can look and see if you have any kind of swelling, abnormal gas formation, or bloating, or inflammation in the actual belly. This will be an indication. Anytime you see any kind of black spots or things like that in the on that x-ray, it's an indication that you're reacting to food, because you're not supposed to see a bunch of bowel gas on the x-ray. Next thing you get a food allergy test. Food allergy test will help you see what you should be eating and what you shouldn't be eating, because the more the foods that you're actually having an immune system reaction to, the more inflammation is actually causing, and the more it is creating more inflammation, which is lowering the sex hormones inside of the body. Third thing is Dutch hormone test. So a Dutch hormone test is a very specific test, and they will actually measure all of these different hormones as it goes down this cascade, including looking at things like cortisol, looking at DHEA, looking at testosterone, looking at things like that. So this helps us to see like where within this fountain are you having some of these issues, so that you can actually target that area to get that to come back up a little bit. And then also you got to work on lowering inflammation. Listen, for me, I can tell you what's wrong and we can start working on correcting that. But ultimately, you're the one long-term who's going to have to work on lowering that inflammation, lowering the physical amount of stress, lowering the mental stress, and lowering that chemical stress. And the great news is it's 100% up to you. And the bad news is it could also be 100% up to you. And so, but you have a say in how, in your longevity and how you want to live, the relationship with the spouse. You have a say in it. So guys, make sure you like this. Make sure you share this. Don't tag someone who you think has low testosterone. You completely embarrass them, but maybe you can share it via a private message. Maybe that actually would be better. So guys, I'm going to be talking more about this coming up at our next event, A Natural Approach to Inflammation. So guys, our next event on inflammation is actually February 9th. We are all booked, so we do not have any more capacity for it. So our next one is going to be Saturday, February 23rd, 9 to 11, right here at Exemplify Health Center. And we're going to start getting you to think differently. And after I get you to think differently from a different perspective, it is going to make so much sense. And you'll understand why some of these tests are absolutely critical and needed, but it'll make a lot of sense on how you can take control of your health and start working on getting well. Got a question? Leave it in the comments below. And also to register for that event, I actually have it, the link in the post right above it. So, hey guys, have any questions, let us know. Make sure you like and share, and we'll see you soon. And if you have any kind of question that you want me to talk about coming up in the next couple of weeks, let me know in the comments below. Have a great Wednesday.